Hello Algebra 1. This video lesson continues with the quiz corrections that I talked about in the first part of the video. We're picking up with question 17. As I said, this was probably the hardest question on the quiz. And you were supposed to find what y is here. And it does tell you the slope, and that the slope is -2. Well, first of all, most of you did remember the formula for the slope, change in y over change in x, and did remember that it says the slope is -2. So you did set this up so that it was equal to -2. And a lot of you plugged these values in correctly into the formula. So you had -6 minus y over 7 minus 1, and you said this is equal to -2. Well, simplifying 7 minus 1, that's just 6. So let's clean this up. I really only need this part. I need -2, and I need this stuff over here. So there we have -2 equals -6 minus y over 6. Well, remember, the question was find the value of y. In other words, I want to get y by itself and move everything else over. We've talked about this more than a month ago now, that the way to get y by itself in a situation like this is to undo the problem in the opposite order of PEMDAS, to unpeel it. So I'm going to have to move this 6 over first. How? Multiply both sides by 6. So now on the left I've got -12, and on the right those 6's canceled. So on the right I just have -6 minus y. I keep going here, undoing in the opposite order of PEMDAS. I want to get rid of the -6. How? By adding it. -12 plus 6 is -6. And now on the right side I just have -y. I can cancel out these negatives, and y becomes 6, and that's my answer to number 17. 18 was the last question, and most of you remembered that average rate of change means the same thing as slope. Well, there's my slope formula, but in this case I don't have a y2 and a y1, an x2 and an x1. I don't see those letters at all here. Instead, my y's, you need to remember that the y values are the dependent variables, and the x values are the independent variables. Well, what are the two things that are varying in this story? What are the two things that are changing? The number of cameras is changing, and the year changes from 2004 to 2010. Well, time is almost always the independent variable. It's not going to get moved around by the number of cameras sold. But the camera sales do depend on the year. So what's the change in the number of camera sales? It's the new amount minus the old amount. Well, with the calculator you could find out that that's 5,040. And the change in the years is 6 years. Now it's just divide one by the other. 5,040 divided by 6 is 840, and the answer to the question, find the average rate of change in cameras sold, it's 840. I'm sorry, say it again, 840 cameras per year. And that's it. That's the last question that was on the quiz.